My name is Lindsay. I moved to the Bay Area about a year and a half ago. I have had a form of TMJ for as long as I can remember, 10, 15 years. I've had dentists and orthodontics bring up that term to me, but never really have the right solution to fixing it. I've tried. I feel like I was a test dummy on so many new things that came out, which kind of in turn just over the years just messed my jaw and mouth up so much more than I even anticipated. And I kind of just spent the last few years giving up on anything related to my mouth or the pain that it was causing. And when I moved to the Bay Area, obviously it was like knee deep in work, but I got to a point where I realized just like how much the pain was impacting my life. I also have a chronic illness that I deal with, and I think it was really contributing just to like my day-to-day functioning and pain. And I was really at my wit's end. It was towards, I think, October of last year. I was kind of calling a lot of different dentists and orthodontics and doing my interviews of different teams and assessments, and you walk into these places and a lot of the environments are very sterile and you're not really met with like any warmth, and when you ask questions people seem frustrated and they want you to just agree to their protocol or whatever it is that they're doing, and it just really wasn't for me. And I made one last call and was connected to Dr. Samadian's office, and Yoli was the person I was in touch with, and she was just like beyond amazing and warm. And I always say from like a leadership and team perspective, you're only as good as the people that you have around you. So I knew like right off the bat that this was a group that I felt very comfortable with. From a dentist perspective, she said, listen, like we can help you. We're gonna take care of you. Like, why don't you just come in? I know you're in so much pain. And just like her way of greeting me and saying like, like we had a cancellation, I can get you in sooner. Do you wanna come in? And just like knowing someone was there to help and wanted to help. So Yoli, the office manager, reached out to me, and again, just kind of have been at like my wit's end because I've just been in so much pain. And when you're in pain, you're not always thinking clearly. And she reached out to me and said, we can take care of you. We're gonna find a solution and we can get you in. Just come in and I will make sure you're seen. And having just kind of that presence and warmth was kind of just where I like let my guard down, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna trust in this and trust in the process. So I went to the office and I met Dr. Samadian. And well, backtrack real quick. When I met with the office team, they were just as they were on the phone, and if I was waiting for longer than 15 minutes, they were checking in to make sure I was okay and kind of just prepped me on the process. And when I met Dr. Samadian, he took all the time that I needed to answer my questions. I have a lot of questions. I think when you have kind of been traumatized in the past by dentists or doctors, and I also had my own health issues, you have to kind of be your own advocate for yourself. And he didn't seem frustrated. He seemed just more than willing to sit with me and hear exactly what I was going through, and then like talk me through what's going on, as well as like what the journey could look like. And I'm very kind of math, science brained, and I like to know the whole science behind why something is happening. And that's something that he like sat with me to take the time to do. And still to this day, like I'm in the office like every other week, and I come in with my list of questions and he sits there and hears me out and then answers them one by one. And it's just been very comforting of an experience that's very intimidating to me in general. So I've never had any relief from any of the procedures that I've tried. I mean, down to like had one doctor who said, I have some prototype that's gonna change the world and it's gonna fix you. And not only did the procedures not work, I was going to these dentist office every other day and spending hours. And sometimes I'd wait an hour to even be seen. And then they'd take an hour and then I'd wait an hour to even check out. And I have a full-time job, and just like having to do all this just to like fix something just felt so absurd and archaic. The most amazing piece about working with Dr. Samadian and the team is within 24 hours of receiving the appliance that I received, I had relief. Like immediately I went from not being able to open my mouth, like probably like the width of like a quarter, to having like the ability to open my mouth and so wide, and like breathing at night just became like my sleeps were better. Like my whole quality of life changed so fast, which is the only reason. And of course, like the staff is nice and the team is nice, but like seeing the change so quickly is the reason that I seeing this through, because it's changed my quality of life. My issues were kind of comprehensive. So yes, my jaw would lock. I wouldn't be able to open it past a certain point. I'd have headaches. I'd have like facial pain. I'd have vertigo and dizziness, which I'd have like, it affected like my inner ear. I constantly had just like such pressure and tightness in my jaw, which then impacted just my head. Like I always felt just radiating pain throughout my body, and I sometimes like didn't know where it started and where it began. After starting with a regimen of like the appliances, so I have my daytime appliance, I have my nighttime appliance, it positioned my jaw in a way that pushed it forward, but then by pushing it forward, it like everything else just like opened up. And I cannot talk from a medical or clinical perspective except for just like it opened up my jaw, which like opened up my ability to just like breathe differently, and which has impacted my sleeping tremendously. Most importantly, just like pain. I just like don't have this tightness and like pressure that I used to have. I made a funny face after that. So yeah, no, I mentioned that the team has just been like so wonderful to work with, and I think I just feel very strongly that we live in a world where everyone's like so disconnected, and technology and robots. I work in a company where we have security robots walking around, and I just think I was so sick of not having a human experience with something that was so personal to me and like affecting my life so much. So just like having a team that was human and like genuinely like kind and warm and would take the time to call me back and have a conversation with me at the front desk and like really engage with me on like what's happening and like if something was wrong, to get me in, like to really care, like, and just like have a genuine conversation. And I can't really describe it except for like the feeling that you get when you walk in, and it's just really like made a big difference. So from a health perspective, I had to really kind of just like take a beat and think about what was impacting my quality of life. And all I could think about was like the pain that I was experiencing on a daily basis. So in trusting Dr. Samadian and his team, and after listening to his thesis on why this is going to help me, it was never like, this, I have some innovative technique that's gonna change your life. It was just like, tell me about your symptoms. Okay, then he listened to my symptoms, and then he was saying, okay, like this is what's happening in your body. This is what's happening in your jaw and in your joints and the discs. And he pulled up an x-ray and showed me what was happening on the x-ray. He pulled up a chart and showed me like a chart of pain and progress and how these things kind of happen and align, and then what we could get to and like what it might look like and what bumps along the way might occur. But in understanding that process, that helped me to trust in the process. And then once I felt the like immediate release of pain, I was a believer. And it hasn't been perfect. There's been days where I might have discomfort, but sure enough, the team is like, okay, Lindsay, we'll get you in. Just come on in. Even if, you know, I don't have a slate, but like I know Dr. Samadian will see you. He's in the office. Just come in, we'll take care of you. And like that has took down my anxiety tremendously, to know that like I have a team that's going to help me weather the schedule or not, because these things are like so pivotal to your day and functioning. I have experience talking to lots of different doctors for different components of my health, and really trying to understand like how I can get things fixed. I don't know, I'm really sorry. This one's really glitching me. I had been doing tons of research on just like meditation and books on breathing and how our bodies are able to kind of like morph with evolution even. Like I was down to like reading about different techniques so that I could try to reduce my inflammation in my body to feel better. So for me, it was really interesting after listening to Dr. Samadian talk about pain that I was experiencing, and in the places that I was experiencing them and the potential relief that I could have, potentially solve a lot of other issues that I always assumed were related to my chronic illness, but within such a short time of just like of using the appliances that he put together for me, like pain that I had experienced on a daily basis that I had attributed to my chronic illness were in fact not that. They were all in relation to the displacement of my jaw. So like fixing this has really just like translated to being pain-free in areas that I had not experienced in like 10 years.